Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today. Welcome, David.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for being here today. We have David Shactman with us. He is the author of Mortal Choice, a medical mystery. David, I am in love with medical dramas, so I tell all my friends I'm a doctor because I've watched Grey's Anatomy and every other medical drama there is. So talk to me about your book and tell us everything.
Okay, well, Mortal Choice, as you said, is a medical mystery, but it's about the illegal market in kidneys. And it's about the impossible dilemmas that parents face if they have a child on the long, interminable list for a kidney. And if that child doesn't get a kidney, they can die. And meanwhile, there's this black market for kidneys. Most people don't know anything about it, but about 10% of kidney transplants are done on the black market. And so if people are desperate, their choice may be to either have their children die or go into this illegal market. So it's a terrible conundrum for parents.
I can imagine. And so if this happens to you, how would you even, I can imagine that someone, just a regular person like me, could even find a connection to that market.
So it's not that hard to do. If you go on the web and you have sites like I want to sell my kidney or I want to buy a kidney, or if you know how to go on the dark web, there are kidney brokers, some of who you would want to avoid and some of who actually deliver a good service. But, it's illegal, so it's a dangerous market. Buying an organ is illegal every place in the world except Iran. Funny we should talk about that today, right? And Iran is the only country that doesn't have a waiting list for kidneys. So it's illegal to buy one, and yet people are faced with this dilemma. And the reason is because in the U.S., the demand for kidneys far exceeds the supply. So there's about 90,000 people last year waiting for kidneys in the country, and about 28,000 of those got kidneys, which means that about 12 or 13 people die every day sitting on that waiting list. And while there is a dearth of supply in the U.S. for kidneys, there are thousands of people in the third world who are desperately poor, and they are willing to sell a kidney to feed their family, to house their family. Okay, but the problem is, how ethical is it to take advantage of a desperately poor person? It's not rich people that'll sell their kidneys, it's only poor people.
Right. So even if you get this kidney, you buy a kidney, it's probably illegal for a doctor to put the kidney in a patient, correct?
So here's what happens when it works. Well, let me say first, I am not advocating that anybody go out and try this illegal market. And there's no question that in parts of this market, there's fraud, there's violence, there are bad outcomes, there is no recourse. Okay, so this is an unknown, dangerous kind of thing. But I'll tell you how it works when it really works. Okay, so you contact a kidney broker. He gets your medical information so that you can get a match. Okay, you have to match the blood type. You have to match certain what they call antigens. Okay, and then he goes out in the third world. And surprisingly enough, it's easy to find a match because there are so many desperate people who are willing to sell their kidney. And so they may pay that person, who knows, $5,000, $10,000, and they falsify the paperwork. They say that this person is a relative or a long lost friend or somebody adopted in the family, or maybe just a donor who was willing to help out mankind. Okay. And the hospital doesn't really have any way to police this. And they don't have any incentive to, because they're saving lives. Okay, they're taking a kidney from one person who has two kidneys. They're prolonging the life of the other kidney, of the person that needs the kidney. The hospital makes money from doing this, and they utilize their equipment. The doctors make money, and they increase their experience doing transplants. So it's a win-win. The brokers make a fortune. The brokers will charge maybe $200,000 for the whole transaction, whereas the poor person selling their kidney gets $5,000. But if you got a legal transplant in the U.S. off the waiting list, it actually would cost more than $200,000. But Medicare pays it all, so people don't realize, they don't feel that cost. So that's how it would work, and it actually works if you get the right person and if you avoid the worst part of the market.
Right.
So
go ahead. No, keep going. That's fine.
Well, so in my book, I mean, let me set the stage, because it's a mystery, and it's not just about these technical things about kidneys. So I have two protagonists in my book. One is an FBI agent. She's a black single female with a 6-year-old daughter. She's worked for the FBI for a long time. She was born in the rural South. She worked her way up. She's a very tough lady, but she's also very stylish, very professional. Okay. And then the second protagonist is a Boston detective. And he's just the opposite. He's this big lunk of a guy. He's kind of overweight. He's a little bit clumsy. And, he's a tough detective, but he has a soft heart. And the book has a subtext between the two of them. And so when two people in the beginning of the book are found murdered, and their murders are obviously connected to the kidney trade, the FBI director calls Cassandra Crawford, the woman, into his office, and he says, "Look, I know you have a 6-year-old daughter that needs a kidney. We want you to do a sting and go undercover, because we believe there's an international ring of people who are murdering people for their kidneys." And she's horrified. "How can you involve my daughter in an FBI operation?" But her daughter's been on the waiting list for 2 years. And when she thinks about all the reasons, she's the perfect person for the sting. It's not good to refuse an FBI assignment. But lurking in the back of her mind, she realizes that someday she might have to buy a kidney for her daughter to save her life. And so she agrees to do this. And so she is going to investigate the very people who can save her daughter's life. So, it's hard to describe a mystery without spoilers, but that kind of sets the stage for the book. And she collaborates with this Boston detective to try to not only find the people who are who have done the murders in Boston, okay, but also to conduct this sting. And she ends up going overseas to India, where they do a lot of illegal transplants, or transplants they don't know are illegal. So it brings out the central question of the book is this: what if your child was dying of kidney disease? Would you sacrifice your morals? Would you break the law? Just how far would you go to save the life of your only child?
That is a big moral dilemma. How did you decide to write this in this way? I mean, did you start with the idea that you wanted to bring more, I guess, knowledge about this illegal transfers?
So
decide that you wanted to do a fiction book?
So in a former life, when I was a researcher at Brandeis University in health policy, I learned a lot about what we call medical tourism. People going overseas for medical procedures. And I was surprised because, after all, we have the most advanced high-tech medicine in the world. And you would expect people to be coming over here for medical procedures. But a lot of people go overseas because either they don't have insurance and they don't have insurance and they can't afford the procedures here. Whereas in other countries like India or Thailand, they have some great hospital systems where most of their doctors are board certified in the United States or in the UK, and their costs might be a quarter of ours. And so I got interested in this medical tourism market, and I found out that some people are going overseas for kidneys. And, I looked into that and I found out there's this giant market. It's estimated at $1.7 billion, the illegal trade in kidneys. It's one of the top 10 illegal categories in the world of illegal transactions. And so I got interested in it. And so how do you tell people about it? I mean, there's lots of professional journals that talk about it. But if you could write a fiction story that would pull people's heartstrings, I thought that would be an effective way to bring this whole problem to the attention of a lot of people.
And is your goal maybe to get more people who are donors?
I think, yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's very tricky how to solve this problem. The system is not working well, and it's not because there aren't well-intentioned people that run it. Okay, but what do? I mean, people right now have to opt in, okay, to donate a kidney when they die, to donate their organs. About 75% of kidney transplants are donated organs from deceased donors. Okay, another 20 or 25% are live donors from friends or relatives, family members, people like that. So how do you increase that? Well, some countries make people opt out. In other words, if you don't specifically opt out, then they can harvest your organs after you die. That's one way to do it. A second way to do it is to have a legal, regulated market where people can buy organs. Now, ethically, there's a lot of very difficult questions about that. But we do let people sell their hair, right? We let people sell sperm and eggs. We let people have surrogates to have babies, and they carry a baby for 9 months, which is a pretty big commitment. So there's a lot of ethical questions about which way to go, and there are no easy answers, and I don't pretend to have the answers, but if I can raise the awareness, I think that will lead people to look into this more.
I think you're right. It's definitely hard ethical questions, and yeah, I think I might go to the black market if one kid of mine was dying. I have to say, when it comes to your children, I think most people go to great lengths.
I'm sorry, did you ask a question?
No, I was just
Okay.
saying, I think most parents would go to great lengths to save their children. So
Yes, and individuals themselves. I mean, I do it because I did it this way because saving your child is really something that pulls on your heart. But people do it for themselves. Adults who have kidney disease, they have to make that decision.
right.
So, especially if people are not, there's an order for you to get a kidney. And if you're not very healthy, you go to the bottom of the list. And those people face a pretty dire choice.
That would be hard. So what do you think is next for you? I saw that you've written a nonfiction book. Have you gotten the fiction bug? Are you going to continue with this series?
I am. I'm working on a prequel to this book. It was actually one I wrote first, and then I liked this one better, so I decided to market this first and then go back and work on the first one. And this has the same characters. It has Cassandra Crawford, the FBI agent, and it has Martin Goldberg, the Boston police detective. And 1 second, Ellen, you can't make that noise. I'm being recorded. All right, let me try again. Let me start from the beginning. My wife is chasing away birds from the bird feeder. Okay. What was the question again? You're going to
Oh,
get this. So.
what's next? Or have you gotten the fiction bug, and what's next for the series?
Yes. Okay. So actually, I have a prequel to this story, which I actually wrote before this book, but I liked the second book better, so I decided to market that first. And now I'm reworking the prequel. And it has the same characters, and it's also somewhat of a medical mystery. And it's about illegal and doctored drugs that are sold in this country, particularly OxyContin, which has a huge market. And I don't want to give away the story too much, but it's about a terrorist cell that supports itself by illegal drug sales. So that's in a nutshell, that's what the book. And I don't have a title yet. The working title is The Fenway Case because there's a scene that takes place in Fenway Park, the home of the Boston Red Sox.
Fun. Well, you have that little New England flair in there.
Yeah. One interesting thing about Mortal Choice is it winds through the neighborhoods of Greater Boston, and it has a little bit to say about each of these neighborhoods. And in the I don't want to give away too much, but there is a wonderful chase through all the roadways and tunnels of Boston. That's one of the climaxes in the book.
Oh, fun. So did you have all that memorized, or did you go to Google Maps to make sure you were
No, I've lived here for a long time. I know that pretty well.
fun? So it sounds like people who are into all the medical dramas will love these medical mysteries.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
I said it sounds like all people who love medical dramas will love these medical mysteries.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great summer read. I mean, it has everything that a murder mystery has, and it has several murders that occur in different stages of the book. But it also has some real meaty things to think about. And I think it can be a good beach read because it moves along very fast, but at the same time, it has some content, it has some substance to it.
Fun. So also kind of a thriller action book as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
That sounds super fun. Tell everyone where we can find you and your books.
I'm sorry that I didn't hear that.
Tell everyone where we can find you and your books.
Okay, well, I have a website, davidshactman.com, that has information about my book and about a nonfiction book I wrote previously. And my book is available in Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Book Locker. You can go directly to those and search for Mortal Choice, or you can go to my website, davidshactman.com, and there are buttons there you can press to go to those places to order the book. And I will be speaking in various places.
Okay. And did I see it's available for pre-order? When is the release?
The book just became we just launched it. So the website says pre-order, and by the end of the week, that website will say order.
Fine. Well, congratulations on your release, and we will definitely have you back when you release your next book.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.